Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on folks. Man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding, talking to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, it's the first of the month. Get your check and come on. Actually, the first was last week, but this is the first Monday for May. And today's a special May. It is called, it's based on Star Wars. It is called May the 4th be with you. I got on my, the force is strong with this one. That's me. I'm wearing my shirt. That's me. That's me. I'm a Star Wars fan. I watched the movies. The first 3 movies are the best. The prequels are all right, but the last 3 movies, they're kind of disappointing. So, but, we are going to have a little conversation here. There's a big show coming this weekend, and it is the New York Pro. And, last year, well, actually, made an announcement last year that I have women's bodybuilding. So it's going to be kind of a drought for WBB when it comes to competitions. We won't see anything till about June. That'd be Toronto, and there's a couple of shows after that. So really what got me to this is women's bodybuilding. It's the architect division. I'm a big fan of the division. Like I said, I've interviewed ladies in other divisions. I pay attention to those divisions also. Some not as much as others, but in one division, I call it a fence. But I'm open to interview some of the ladies in that division if they ever want to come on and talk with me. So, folks, I have here sitting in the windows my brother here, and he's got an interview later on today. Go check out his interview. And it's my man, KLA the Wanderer.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, George?
Yeah, I saw you had to cut out when I did my. I saw you, but he's really a good dude. Just saw him get an interview with the lovely Mrs. Talia Fagi. Was it last weekend? Go check it out. Also got an interview set again later to this evening, so check that one out. So, as you know, my man been in New York Pro a couple of times doing his, and the experiences were pretty good experiences. His first time, I think, was it back in 2024? I think it was.
Yeah. 2024. Then last year I came late, so I missed. It's funny because every time, like I've been to a couple of them, I've been missing the women. Tell you the truth, I mean, except for bikini. The first time I was there for bikini, but I wasn't there for physique, figure, not even women's bodybuilding. So I didn't even know who won that show, tell you the truth, in bikini. I remember a lot of people left, and there were other people remaining and stuff. But it was what it was. I know a lot of people, especially other hardcore bodybuilders, they're not really into bikini like that. So, yeah, I did see the men also. The men were like the ones that I seen first, and then they showed the bikini. And then the last year, I missed last year. I told you that. Yeah, I didn't see anything. Some Nick Walker, he got awarded. And that was about it. I mean, I'm planning to go this Friday, check it out. Hopefully, I get on time. Yeah, because the reason why I came late because of the ticket and all that stuff, and but yeah, I'm gonna see if I could go. Well, I'm gonna see I could go a bit earlier, on Friday to watch some shows like maybe if not women's physique, figure, or wellness or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like for me, I'm kind of disappointed with this. The was that long ago, like about 5 years ago, when they brought back women's bodybuilding to the New York Pro. It was a big excitement because New York Pro was a popular show. As you know, it was
Oh, it's
ran
not
by
the first time they took that out.
no, that's the first time. They took it out around about I think about the same time when they got rid of women's bodybuilding from the Arnold Classic or the Olympia. That was when a lot of promoters were dropping it from their shows. And
I think was it 2005 or something
no,
like that.
it was more closer to
2015.
about I would think about 2012, 2013 when they did it the first time.
Oh, okay.
And
All right.
then they brought it back in 2020 because I remember that year, I think Mila Ash won that was her debut women's bodybuilding. Mila Ash won the title because she did, that was, remember when Jada, she did an interview with us and she did an interview with me and she mentioned how when she was doing Freeport that year in 2020, they told her and Mila maybe to move up. And then Jada took that year off and came back in 2021 to be women's bodybuilding. And what Mela did, she jumped into New York Pro, and I think it used
Mhm.
to be the New York Pro was actually it's usually the second or third show of the year, but this year it's the first show for the year because Pittsburgh be first, then it'd be New York, then Shreveport. But now they changed it. I don't know. That's run by Steve Weinberger. His wife, ex-wife Bev Francis ran it, and Bev's she's kind of moved on. She still has a name there to it, but she lives in Australia now. But also a big thing is I want to give a shout out to our other brother who wanted to join us, but he's busy. He got to get ready. He has to head out. My man, David, as you know, David from Female Body Forum, he's going to be there too. He's going to be there to check it out. He's going to be there live. We've been talking with him back and forth. David's a great guy. He does good work, what he does with content. We'll pull up here. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Wait a second. And here he is. He's traveling all the place, meeting these women, being at these events. I mean, touching my girl. I keep telling man, don't be put your hand on my girl, man. But here he is. He's very excited, particularly a lady on his left is going to be competing there, this weekend. And that is, Susan Matheson Graham. I think she's actually going by Matheson now. Graham was a married name. It's also with a lady we both interviewed, Blanca Rodriguez. And Susan, she's one of the ladies who's going to be there because she's already confirmed that she's going to be there. And we've been seeing some stuff she posted lately. I mean, this is one of her most recent posts. This is a back workout. And, Susan's just, I met Susan, did a little interview with her. I mean, she's got amazing shape, conditioning. I mean, she's been a two-time Olympian at the Masters Olympian and also been Olympian back in 2020. I think last year was 2024. But from these videos, oh, wow. I mean, she looks really good. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, she looks good.
Yeah, and she works with Dom Slice, that's for best fit bodies. That's her team. That's got not her, but also you have Lavinia Barros, you have Amanda Machado, a couple other competitors. She recently did interview our man David, and here she is doing the pose. It's like I think last week when did interview David, and her progress. But like I said again, she's coming in here going for bear. As you know, this is the open opportunity because from what I got some information from some people that particularly a certain person may not be doing this show this year.
Oh, is it down low or you not?
Well, I often have little birdies tell me some information, and it's one of my little birdies that told me that. And that little birdie is also competing in this show. And I think from her information, she's confirmed that the tag whale is not going to do in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that leaves an open opportunity for her to place well. But anyway, the situation is about women's bodybuilding. We'll also delve into a little more New York later on in the show. But as you know, women's bodybuilding, no shows for this year. Last thing we had was Triple O, and also we had the Puerto Rico Pro. And then we had two competitors. I had a pleasure to interview one lady who competed in women's bodybuilding, as Ann Gruber. So, and then also the list came out. If y'all follow bodybuilding, if you're a big fan of the sport, the list for the Rising Phoenix has come out. It was set on the first. That was Friday, but it was I saw they posted. I saw it Saturday they posted, and we have some lot of heavy hitters. I would say this is and some returning competitors, and also a returning champion. And if you most definitely the Rings of Strength, Rising Phoenix is probably the most prestigious show for women's bodybuilding, out of the year, outside of the Olympia. But it's a great to see this. So I'm gonna pull up the list here, and we have a lot of familiar faces here, and also some new faces. Some faces I think some people didn't think was going to make this show. So here we go, the list here. And first off, starting off on, if you look closely, we got to spend a little bit. Is that we have at the top Andrea Shaw. Andrea competed last year at the show, and now she's coming in as returning champion and multiple-time champion. Next up, this is something I saw, I was surprised. Lisa Apodaca. I just interviewed with Lisa a couple of weeks ago. Lisa just made her debut at the Triple O. She's going to be doing the Steve Carr show in November, and she's on the list here. I mean, congratulations to Lisa. I mean, especially was her first year competing as a pro, cracked the top 5 at the Triple O, and now going in to compete at the Rising Phoenix. Next up, we have is Mayla Ash. Mayla's been in the game quite some time. She's been a top 5 competitor at the Rising Phoenix in the past. She also was a top 5 competitor at the Triple O this last month. Next up is Lavinia Barros. Now, as you know, Lavinia, she's number 3 in the world in women's bodybuilding, which means that she's already qualified for this year's Olympia. She's competed at the Rising before. I think competed was 2024. 2025 we have a lot of bodies because they changed the show to open format, and it was top 3 was qualified to Olympia. Andrea came back. The tag Korbalev, she won second, and third was Amanda Santos. Amanda decided not to use her bye last year. Next up is Nadia Capasoto, who has been around for quite some time. She's been a multiple-time Rising Phoenix competitor. I believe the last time she competed was also in 2024. Here's a name you haven't seen in a long time, Nikki Chartrand. And as you know, Nikki's making a return. She hadn't competed since 2023. And this could be the first time we've seen her in quite a long time. She went through some stuff personally. She's been a multiple-time Rising Phoenix competitor ever since she switched from women's physique to women's bodybuilding. Next up is Salika Gevin. And Salika, she's been doing pretty well. She was second to Barbara Mojin at the Triple O. Impressive lady. She also, remember, in 2024, when she last competed at the show, she got Best Poser, or was it, I think it was Most Muscular Best Poser that year. It was been a long time. Next up is a lady who hadn't seen in quite a long time, Haley McGrath. And she hadn't competed since, I think, 2020. So it's been at least about 5 to 6 years. Next up is Ava Manello. And Ava, she hadn't been in the game for quite a bit. She last competed at the Grand Prix in California. I think she didn't crack. I think she's in the top 10 of that show. Precious young lady. Another lady who's on here is Sherry Priami. We have not seen her active since 2024. As you remember, Sherry did Chicago, where she won a qualification for the Olympia. She took second at the Portugal Pro, and she did the Rise of Phoenix in 2024. She took a break this last year because of medical issues, but now she's recovered. Now she's ready to get back in the game. Another lady who's been a multi-time Rising Phoenix competitor is Virginia Sanchez. And Virginia has been a game quite some time. She's done the show quite often. She's been doing the show ever since it's been established back in 2015. Next up is Dr. Kenya Squarey. And I pleasure interviewing Dr. Squarey. As you know, she's originally from Newfoundland, which is right around Canada, coast of Canada. She's a doctor. She's been competing for quite some time. She was women's physique, but then she made switch to women's bodybuilding. She's also been a Master Olympian qualifier back in 2024. We have his Rania Tunskin. If I get that name wrong, apologize. You know, Rania, she turned pro last year at the USA's, made a pro debut at Tampa, where I was there. I got to see her make a pro debut. She's been very busy, very vocal about bodybuilding, and really for women's bodybuilding. She's been an advocate. So shout out to Rania. Next up is a lady who just interviewed a while back, who's also being sponsored by the ladies of Team 4 Pro. And also she's part of the Behind the Physique, which is being promoted by Kelly Larkins as Gabby Morris, or she's going by here, Gabby Vega. Amazing lady, reaching from Mexico. I want to say give her a happy early Mother's Day shout out to her, because she's a mother, like some of these ladies on here. Also, we have here Marilyn Yee. And Marilyn, she did pretty good. Her last show was the Steve Carr show. And Marilyn was second to Ashley Jones. And, it's pretty good. She was very close to the qualification. Not sure what show he's going to be doing, maybe. I was kind of surprised that she made this list, because particularly the one person I forgot to say was on this is Chelsea Dion. And I heard some things about her and Chelsea don't get along too well, but maybe bygones be bygones, and that's why it's competing. And the 17th person is whoever wins the Miss International at the Chicago Pro. So that means that the last couple of years, no one has really took advantage of that. The last person who took advantage was in 2023, the opportunity to compete at the Rising Phoenix. But for the last few years, it's mostly been, open invitation.
I don't got much to say. Maybe I might check it out, watch it.
Yeah. The Rising Phoenix also is a show connected to the Arizona Pro, where they show all the other divisions. That's women's physique, bikini, fitness, wellness, figure, and even, fit model. That's also on the list. So, but,
why do you do that, man? Like, I get it. Like, you don't like it. And I understand, but it's like every minute, every time you mention the word, you got to do that. And then you'll be like, well, if there's any guests that, that's open for me to talk to, like, what if they none of them don't say nothing to you just by you doing that? And female bodybuilders, they sensitive too. I bet you. Imagine me doing that to female bodybuilders. Like a majority of them probably wouldn't even respond to me if I asked them on an interview. I'm just saying, like, probably just need to ease up on it. Like, it ain't always that necessary for you to do that, man. If you talk to them, talk to them.
I'm a criminal. I got to be me. I have to be that other guy. He can't. He dominates my personality. I just have to come out every now and then.
Oh man.
I try to pull back a little bit, but sometimes I just can't. I just can't let it go. I'm just, as I said often, I'm just a particular type of criminal. I'm sorry about that. Did I scare you? But that's just me. It's how I am. I'm an entertainer. That's the purpose, is entertainment. Also, again, I talk about the division is that I know it's about bringing teaching more women in, but the thing is, it's just, to me, there's no point to it, because after a while, if you look at now, wait, let me say, if you look at it now, it won't be long for those women start. When you come in as amateurs, you're starting from the bottom, then you climb up. Right now, you're having women who are coming down from bikini to get into that division. I saw this by Tariq. He mentioned that, if we see more of women like that, they're going to get penalized. And it's going to happen, same thing happened with women's physique. We saw a lot of women bodybuilders dropping down to that division. It's going to change the format of what that division is supposed to be. Right now, you have women in bikini who have conditioning and shape, just like women in figure. You see women in figure right now who are just as built as women in physique, and right now you see women in physique who's just as built as women in bodybuilding. This division is supposed to be a gateway division, but once it hits the pro level, those women are not going to retain those same aesthetics. They don't want the women to have too much gyration to the glutes. They don't want that too rounded to the shoulders. They don't want the looks that you see in these other divisions. But after a while, what's the point to it? When it's going to look like, as you know, it's supposed to be a reboot of what bikini first started off with, but after a while, it's just going to be like lightweight bikini class. So I'm going to say this: it's an offense to my senses. Maybe just me, just being aware of how things change over time. It's just evolution of any athlete. And some of these ladies, they start off in one division, then eventually they're gonna have that taste they want to move up. So that's my
Well, they
thought.
just need to set probably like strict some rules. I know that was mentioned before. I'm not saying anything deep, but uh, like there need to be restrictions. Some rules, guidelines. Like this is the standard. You got to fit that standard. If you can't fit the standard, you can't be in the division. You can't double dip or anything like that. You have to stay in one spot with the one division. I don't
Which
know. I mean, I think probably is. I've said this, and I think it's a division for the regular people, the public, to pay attention to bodybuilding. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be the. I don't know if the fit model gonna be that division, but I see it a bit, with bikini and the other things, because women bodybuilding, it at a certain point it was turning people off, like with the jaw lines and how huge they was, how huge they were. I mean, like, look at Iris Kyle, and it's no disrespect, but they was complete. Like, there was the video I think you showed me, and they was mostly comparing her to men in a certain way, like she got just as mass muscle as men, and it's like she's a woman. Why are you comparing her? And I get it, like she got more Olympias than other, like other athletes, men or women, but still, like, she's a woman. Like, you just make it on the comparison to a woman instead of a man, because then it's going to be like it's going to be hard to differentiate, because you want the women to compete with the men now, and I know a lot of them don't want to do that, the women. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like, people, and this, that people will get turned off with just looking at these women, especially the women bodybuilding division. So I'm in that. So what I'm just saying, I think that it's a purpose of fit model. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I don't. I'm not saying that I'm crazy about it either, but just let it be. I would say, like, it's nothing that nobody can do. You're not the only person that had an issue with it. There's bodybuilders question it too, but what you gonna do?
like I said again, I'm going to be me. I just feel like
Yeah.
you bring something in there. If you talk about the strict guidelines, that thing is the judges need to stick to those guidelines to each and every division. And if you're seeing women in a division that is get to a point where you're looking more close to that division, you need to tell them, hey, move up, or you change your training matrix to fit that division. But the problem is they're not going to, they're not going to stick to the criteria like it's supposed to. They're going to switch and change. I'm like, sometimes the interviews, like we did interviews with ladies, we're telling you, oh, a judge tell them get bigger. But then what do you mean by bigger? Do you mean, well, you want me to get certain parts bigger? You want me to look like this? And that thing is, the judges have a lot of control when it comes to it. I know some ladies say they don't take the judges' critique; they take it as a grain of salt, toss the salt, and keep on moving. But many of these competitors do that because, one person I would not ever count as a real top line judges. That's Tyler Mannion. You have not competed. You're only this because who your father, your grandfather is. And I don't think somebody ever take his word for anything. It's like somebody like Steve Weinberger or Tim Gardner who have competed, been around the sport long enough. Yes, I'll take critique. Sandy Williamson, who I talked about, I would take their critique because they've been around the game and they have competed. But again, it goes back to what do they really want, and why not just sit down and just set the guidelines and stick to it instead of just changing every time we bring a new division. We have my man Nodos here. He says this. Shot Nodes. He says, "Hi to everyone. Hi to you, brother." Also, look at the list. We have a couple of names missing, and most notably is the 2024 champion before they changed it and rebooted back, and that is Angela Yo. She's not competing, and I'm surprised. I'm a fan of Miss Yo. I think she has a great physique. Here she is. As you know, she took fourth place at last year's Olympia. There's Andrea, Ashley, Lavinia, Angela, and also Alcyon. And Angela, right now, I'm surprised she did not, decide to put her name in. She was champion 2024, but from what I'm hearing, stuff like that, I don't think she's too happy about how to change the format of the show. That the last year when they took in because of Jake was trying to use the money to invest into women's bodybuilding. Did not too much at the Olympia, but as you know, Jake is now focused more on Olympia to compete with you on the Classic. This is from 2024 when she won the title. Giving the former champion Andrea Shaw a hug. Andrea walked away $25,000 from that show. There's Sherry Piami. There's Salika. There was Michaela Acock. Michaela has stepped away from the show. And the big question is, I'm thinking I was asking somebody, is she still, even though she was champion 2024, does that still, because it used to be, if you are a Rice Phoenix champion, you get an automatic bye to compete at the Olympia. Margie Martin, she was two-time champion. Just interviewed another two-time champion, Helen Trevino. And there's also Alina Popa, But, I think they said they changed the format of that. It's no longer, the Rice Phoenix champion is, because now you got the women's bodybuilding back to the Olympia, it's no longer a bye to the Olympia. So the big question is what she's going to do.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, there's not going to be any more shows for women's bodybuilding until June. The first show is Toronto Super Show, and she lives in Ohio, so Toronto's good ways from Canada. Just across the border, Canada. She's a good ways from Canada. She could do that show, or she can go overseas. There's the following week is the Imperial. That's in Spain. And it's also possibly she might just wait and do maybe Tampa or Atlanta. Those are a handful of shows in the States that gives Olympic qualification for this year.
Is Alina Popa having a bodybuilding show?
Yeah, Alina Popa has the Alina Popa Classic. It's on the list, but that's not till I think. Let me check here real quick. Alina's show is August the 30th, and the Olympia is going to be September the 24th. So I'm wondering if it's going to be too close for the entryway or something. I'm trying to wonder because I think it usually gives you 2 or 3 weeks.
She did that mural. She did that mural. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I think somebody else did that mural. She just standing in front of it. But yeah, she's very artistic. She's very into the goth scene. I'm a fan of Angela. I think she has a great physique. The question is where she's going to do it. Now, next up is said again, another person who's not on the list is Ivy Strong herself, Ashley Jones. I had a pleasure meeting Miss Jones when I was at Tampa. I love to talk about that because it's a hat in my cap. And the question is, she's already top three in the world. She took second to Andrea. Here she is. I think she was in for the Turkey Derby. She looks really nice, She's hanging that out, wearing a nice hat and like dress. Look at those legs. I mean, wow. Yeah, brother, you got to see her close in person. But I'm surprised she had put her hat in this show. She did the Steve Carr just a couple weeks after doing Olympia, and now she's not doing the Rising Phoenix. I'm surprised.
Mm.
We have here a guest just popped in. This is our man, the Merlin himself, the legend, one Mr. Jeremy Remo, aka the Art of Female Muscle. Hello, sir. How you
Hi
doing?
guys. Hi guys.
All right.
Hey, hey, how you doing? As you know, this is going to be a drought for this month for women's bodybuilding. We'll see no shows till June. What's your thoughts?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not surprised. I mean, you only had what, 3 women show up at the New York Pro last year
Mm-hmm.
for women's bodybuilding. I mean, if it's going to be that low a turnout, I'm not surprised that they did. But at the same time, I mean, people will complain about people not showing up, but not many. It's like it's not easy to raise the 15 grand that you need to be able to do a competition prep for this or pretty much any division on the professional level. And that's just what kills me, is because they call themselves a professional league. This is the only professional league, quote unquote, that I know of in which you can't make a profession off of competing. The overwhelming majority of the competitors don't make anything. I mean, most other professional leagues, I mean, professional, AKA earn a living, making a profession off of this. The overwhelming majority of competitors, men and women alike, make absolutely nothing. The one and only way that you get actual money from this is to place in a placing where you can actually get some prize money to get some return on your investment. The overwhelming majority get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're paying all this money, but they're not getting any return on investment. It's the only professional league I know of that does this. Every other one that I know of pays a base salary for its competitive, pays so that they can in fact compete. So it's like I hear the women in the WNBA and I hear the women in women's pro soccer complaining about the salaries that they're making, and I'm like, ladies, you're making a salary. You get paid in dollars and cents. In women's bodybuilding or in the women's division, period, you're paid in jack and squat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you get. So it's like I'm sorry that so few turned out, but it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to come up with $15,000 every year, which you fully well know is gone, that you're not going to see any return on investment for. So I'm sorry, but I'm just really not shocked. I'm not surprised that when the Rising Phoenix, when they not only took away the world championship aspect of it, but they also got rid of the prize money. Is it any wonder that only 5 women showed up last year? As opposed to what, the 15, 16 that were showing up, when it started, and also continued on until they decided to get rid of that? I mean, and then they also say, oh, but why do so many women go to OnlyFans? Or why do so many women go to webcamming? Or why do so many women even do live sessions to this day? It's like, why do you think? For a lot of them, this is the way they're getting their money to be able to do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we talk about this often, because you got to remember, like my man Big Keith said, most of the time you're stealing from Peter to pay Paul. You're not just counting your entry fee you got to pay every year. Your travel expenses, hotel, just RIP to Spirit Airlines, flights, food, your coaches, and for the women, they have more expenses on show day, not just tanning, hair, makeup, their suits. As I say this quite often in my interviews with the ladies, say the guys got put on a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. That's it. How much is that for? If you get something fancy, it's like maybe $100 for a pair of speedos, and some guys wearing some board shorts might be $60 or $70. And this is where, if anything, why not have some kind of kind of assistance for your athletes? These people represent the brand. They started this new line of clothing lines. So what's the money going to? It's going to your pocket. It's not going to, like, one thing when you look at things like WNBA and also NBA. More of those athletes make money from endorsements than they do from the league itself. They do get a good chunk of change from it, but like Michael Jordan, how much he was making. He was like Gatorade, Cadillac, Ballpark. I mean, he did that movie Space Jam. That's where someone could, like, how someone talking like this. When you become we start making music. We start making become a artist. You're mostly getting loans from the company, from the record company, and then you don't start seeing money until your second album and until you're touring and selling merchandise. That's where you start seeing money. You're just living mostly off of a loan. Like how God broke it down says, like, you can sell 10 million record sales, and that's not going to be as much as you put into they put into your endorsements, advertising, all like that, and then and you're just mostly living foot to mouth. You don't really see no money till maybe your second album, or until really get some deals, like do something like in movies or something like that. Like that. You're mostly just going for broke. Shout out to our man C Cross One coming through. He says this. He says, "What do you think of the 2026 Rising Phoenix Pro?" Like I said, I'm a fan of it. I watch it about every year. We have some amazing competitors. Most definitely, one person I want to, because I was surprised when she made the list, and that is Lisa Apodaca. I mean, Lisa, she's been competing she's only been a pro for just over a couple of years, but she made a pro debut last year. And Lisa, when I saw the list, I would, because I know she's going to do Triple O, not Triple O, Steve Carr show. We did Triple O, and she was going to do Steve Carr's show. And I think she's found she's made it. I'm surprised that she's doing this show. I thought she was focus on Steve Carr, but Lisa, she has great potential. She posted some new pictures here. There's some pictures from the Triple O. She has a great physique, great look to her. Mother of 7 kids, wow, 7 babies, and and she went through a lot. She survived lupus. She has 2 jobs. And that's one thing to put out. She has 2 jobs. And she's trying to, afford to be a bodybuilder. And the thing is, you want to be a bodybuilder, it's not very, you have to afford to do it.
I mean, I look at the stuff that they do as a discipline more than a sport. I understand what Jeremy's saying, but I think people like the regular people, they're not gonna pay attention to it. I think like maybe like in the 80s and the 90s, it seemed like it was going somewhere, but to a certain point, people didn't know how to look at it, because the usage of steroids was what was mentioned. I remember Lee Priest, he talked about certain things on some topics. Yeah, I mean, do people look at it as a sport? That's my question. I don't know.
Yeah. But here's the thing about steroids. It's in almost every sport. Like I used to do interviews and contact women in MMA and mixed martial arts and combat sports. If y'all saw this, this lady, her name is Talia. What's her last name? I forgot her last name. She's an MMA fighter, and there's somebody posted a meme of her talking about how her husband does a little bodybuilding on the side. She has amazing physique. I even say that she could be a great bodybuilder if she ever talk about it. And she posted that reason why she got suspended in her last fight from PFL, because she was busted for taking performance enhancers. And she said her excuse was because her husband uses it, and she didn't realize she used his, and thought it was birth control. But here's the thing is also, steroids is in birth control, but this is antibiotic compared to what you use in birth control. It's 2 different things, and she's using that excuse. Wasn't that long ago when you had that whole thing with a lot of Major League Baseball players using steroids. But here the thing is that those guys, mostly millionaires, and they using something because you got to think about it. You be an athlete for most of your life, for 30, 40 years. your body's not going to maintain that same level as you was when you were 20s to your 40s, because you need something to keep your edge up. Like people don't talk about Barry Bonds, but he never got busted. There was never evidence of that. They were chasing after him for a long time. But it's used to help for recovery because the body goes through a lot of damage.
I think the reason why probably they don't say too much about the other sports like baseball, because I know about what's his name, A Rod, I forgot his name, Rodriguez.
Was it
He played for the New York Yankees.
Alex Rodriguez?
Alex Rodriguez, yeah, it was an issue with him in that, and Marion Jones and stuff. The reason why they probably don't make too much of a big issue with it, because it's making money. In female bodybuilding, it's like it ain't making money. I mean, to some people, they're making money, but it's not. It ain't lucrative, like you always say. It's not lucrative, and so they don't really pay it no mind. I think like. I remember, like like in the 80s and the 90s. I keep mentioning that, but the reason why, because at a certain point it was televised and people was paying attention to it. But then after maybe like in the 2000s, mid 2000s, nobody didn't really care about it, and then when they did, and then when they were like on TV, like some of the female bodybuilders on talk shows, like things like Jenny Jones, they were getting mocked at, they was getting ridiculed and stuff like that, especially with the women. So, people that I'm around, they know, some of them know that I have an interest of it, but they be like, they ain't really trying to pay attention to it like that. Like majority of times, like there's a supervisor at work. We talk about a little bit on basketball, and some of the stuff he's just teaching me, because sometimes I was in and out of basketball, but majority of the times me and him, we just talk about basketball and other politics and stuff like that. I mean, the people around me, there's no conversation with that. Like, you go anywhere, it's majority of times it's basketball or football, maybe baseball. That's it. But bodybuilding, nah. Like these shows that's coming up, and what's his name, Raheem, always talked about this. Nobody. It's not publicized like that. So I mean, but with the steroids, I think it's they don't know what to make of it, so they just kind of stigmatize it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, because it's easy, because everybody can point the finger and say, "Oh, you take steroids." I just and thing is, it's only there for helping growth and recovery. There's ladies who do natural bodybuilding, like you talk about OCB, and they still get picked on. There's one young lady, I think she just did a show. She's a natural bodybuilder. I forgot her name. Black, light skinned young girl, pretty. She had an amazing physique. She just did a show at the Emerald Cup. She was doing, I think it was a regional show, which gets her to nationals. She has a lot of potential. She can possibly do well in the IPB whenever she gets a pro card. And the thing is that people's always going to have they're going to point their finger at bodybuilding because of the steroid thing. And you remember, back in the day, you could catch it on ESPN, ABC. This video I shared, it was from a show called American Muscle. It used to come on ESPN on the weekends, and it's great to watch, because for who are fans of bodybuilding, especially women's bodybuilding, it was a good opportunity to talk about the ladies and give them a platform. We got my man C. Cross here. He says this. He says, women's bodybuilding don't flip. They'll fly to Romania to watch 6 girls compete. They'll buy pay-per-views. They know every quad sweep, small but ride or die. But again, the numbers need to increase with the competitors. And I know, shout out to my dear friend Eunice. She points out that they try to consolidate more shows. Chicago's not going to have it this year, which has been always, it's been always there for a long time, but now this first year, not going to have it. Tampa is going to have it, and the reason why, because of women campaigning for themselves. And I want to bring this up. A lady who's been a guest on my channel a couple of times, that is Anastasia Ryder. I hate to miss up her married last name, but Anastasia. She started a GoFundMe, and she's proud of what she's doing. So we'll put this video with her as she makes the announcement.
Good morning, Instagram world. My name is Anastasia Ryder. If you don't know me already, and I'm making this
I don't know what's going on my computer.
Post to announce that although the Tampa Pro was put back on the schedule a couple months ago, we still needed to raise the rest of the money to make sure that the category could be properly sponsored at the show. And as of today, we have fully paid the amount required to have both Masters and Open women's bodybuilders at the Tampa Pro again this year. I just wanted to get on here and announce this and give a huge shout out to everybody that donated, everybody that spread the word about the GoFundMe, a couple people that came in and donated really large chunks of money to the GoFundMe and to Tim himself to make sure that this show was able to be put on. I'm really thankful for the opportunity for myself and all the other women to compete. Tampa Pro is a show that's really special to me. It was my first bodybuilding show that I ever attended before I even lived in Florida, before I had ever done any bodybuilding myself. Seeing the women there and seeing all the different representation was what really inspired me to begin my own journey. So it was so important for me to be able to keep this category at this show. So I just wanted to thank everybody so much for helping to make this happen for all of us. And I cannot wait for the Tampa Pro and to see everybody there.
Well, thank you, Anastasia, for what
Good
you're
morning,
doing.
Appreciate you.
A lot of respect for you, what you're doing. And Anastasia also is part of Behind the Physique, which is being sponsored by Kelly Larkin. They are, she's one of the athletes. And if you know about this is a show. This is where it's a documentary, and they are talking to and featuring women bodybuilders. Many of them are amateurs. Many of them are pros, but some amateurs. A couple of these who've been guests on my channel, who are competing, who are part of the Behind the Physique. I'll pull it up here. And was just last week they announced all 8 ladies, and congratulations to all the 8 ladies. First, as you know, Anastasia, one lady who was chosen. As you know, she's been competing for quite some time. Next up is also on the list is, let me see here. Give me a second. Computer. We have a lot of sponsors here. Is Roshana Boswell. Roshana, I had the pleasure of meeting back in 2022, and that's the year when she won her, I think her 3rd Olympic qualification at Puerto Rico. That was the last time they had, the Open women's bodybuilding in Puerto Rico. Next up is Brittany Diamond, and Brittany is an amateur. She competed at the, I think she did. I don't think she did nationals, but I know she did the amateur Olympia, but she didn't get a pro card. But she does do women's bodybuilding. Next up is my dear friend Gabby Vega, and Gabby is now not just part of this, but also she's a sponsored athlete by Team 4 Pro. It's a great year for her. Or Gabby Morrison, that's her married name. And next up is Casey McJunkin. I had the pleasure of interviewing Casey a couple of years ago. She did nationals last year. A young lady, she's just, I think, 23 years old. And congratulations to her. Also, this is a little thing from the one of the sponsors is Crystals. Also, shout out to my friend Eunice. She's also helping sponsoring this show. Also, next up is Lavinia Barros. As you know, Lavinia, who's now number 3 in the world for women's bodybuilding at the Olympia. So congratulations to her. I saw her when I was at Tampa. Amazing young lady, great physique. She's not even 30 yet. I mean, just her potential.
And when they go say something, not to cut you off, the Behind the Physique. Yeah.
Well, I think they're trying to look for somebody to carry the platform. She says she wants to go through Netflix, but I think it'd be easier if you go to something like Tubi. I know we talk about Tubi quite often, and Tubi just bought some of the catalogs from the Cartoon Network. They're showing a lot of the classic cartoons, Cartoon Networks. They'll be blowing up. Plus, Tubi also shows the NFL. Well, but whenever they start working on the documentary, she'll post it and let us know. Next, as the young lady also had been a guest on my channel is Montana, Frey or Montana Shani. She just got her pro card at Nationals last year. Amazing young lady, amazing physique. Also, she served our country, United States Marine Corps. So I always say to anybody who serves the country, I appreciate the sacrifice they made for half as a citizen of the United States. Also, a lady who also had the pleasure of interviewing, Ashley DiCarlo, better known as Ash. And she's from the UK, and she is, she works, I think, on it's kind of ship or something. She does some kind of really, really heavy duty work. She's a UK champion. This is a great opportunity for her. This could be maybe this year she might get a pro card. Especially you're working with Kelly Locken there. So that's great. Folks, I got some news. If you'd like me to share it with you. Shout out to my man David. I wanted to come on here because he's going to be at New York Pro. David sent me a link just a while ago on my phone, and he's telling me that the list is out for the New York Pro. It's kind of, it's not even 6 o'clock. I mean, it took almost.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that too just recently.
Yeah, it took to 10 o'clock to see the list for the Triple O. I mean, it's crazy, but I'm gonna show the list for y'all. So if y'all are, like I said, we know we talk about women's bodybuilding, but New York Pro still a good show. I'm not gonna watch it because, like I said, then I will support shows that supports women's bodybuilding, but this show's not supporting women's bodybuilding. I'm not watching. Man, what you saying?
Sorry.
No, I thought KL say something.
No, I laughed. I chuckled.
Yeah, but we do have the list. As you know, I will focus on particular divisions that I do pay attention to. Not so much the ones that I don't pay attention to, but pull up here the list. We have some new names and some unfamiliar names here. It's kind of easy. If you can see it, let me see if I can maybe enlarge it a little bit because screen's kind of small. Give me a second. Let me see. Let me zoom in some. Here we go. All right. As you know, I do focus on figure a little more because its division's been around for quite some time. Some ladies have amazing physiques. We have here is Dominique Berdych. All right. Thais Warner. So she's been getting quite some time. Jacqueline Canny.
Okay, that's the women's figure lineup?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said women's physique is what you were going to do.
Well, I said, well, we also figure two while we here, but we get into physique, yeah. So yeah. But Vanessa Habo, if I didn't get that right, Jeannie Kessel, who just did the Battle of the Bodies in Oklahoma, so she's already qualified for the Olympia. Georgina Luna, she's from Mexico. She did the Puerto Rico Pro. Marcelo Marced, who's from Puerto Rico, who also did Puerto Rico Pro. Angela Nori, not Nori, I think it's Noriega. Oh, Angela Noriega. Is it Angela Noriega? Angela Noriega. Don't know much about her. We have here Julia. I'm not going to mess up her name. Yasir Pastra. If I got any wrong, I apologize. We have here Ashley Sherwood from South Africa. And Nancy Winkle, who just did an interview with man Cardio at the Female Bodybuilding Hardcore Fan. Shout out to him. And she's making her pro debut here in New York. We have Bikini. And we have here Physique. And, we have some familiar names. But we have particularly one name is not on the list. Natalia Coelho. As you know, Natalia is not doing the show. She has done the show multiple times. And now this is an open opportunity.
Charade is.
Yeah. But first off, we have is Josephine Polidor from Mexico. Julia Galavastiva from Russia. Amazing lady. Crazy physique. Yoon Kim from South Korea. Jean Hai Lee from South Korea. Susan Matheson. Shout out to Susan. That's David's girl. Deanna Perez, Deanna also served in the military. So shout out to Deanna. We was going to do the interview a while back, but then circumstances happened. She lives in New York now. The weather was bad. We had to lose connection. Paula Ranta, Paula, amazing young lady. She's confirmed doing a show. Another lady who's been a guest on my channel, the lovely Mrs. Megan Russell, and she.
No, I forgot. Really keep reading it because I don't want to disturb your thing.
Yeah. Also, we have is Christina Salas. She turned pro last year, did a couple of shows. Julia Sharad, if I got her name wrong, I want to apologize. And someone that KL knows very well, Winsome White.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I noticed. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since Winsome competed. I think she competed in 2023. So it's been like a good 3 years or so.
Great.
So that's a pretty good list. I mean, I think at least about 10 bodies for this show, and then you don't have to worry about Natalia because now it's open opportunity, But shout out to my man here, my man C Cross is sticking in here, says the IVB keeps the women's bodybuilding division alive because killing it will kill history. Social media gives it a lifeline, even though it's a niche. It's a niche that can still keep living. I appreciate that. Also, he says, I will support women's bodybuilding, women's physique, figure, and fitness no matter what. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your support. So, but yeah, that's the thing is, you got to find people who willing and want to support it. Like Anastasia with the whole thing with the GoFundMe, and she's part of the there's a new movement by women's bodybuilders where they're trying to get together, they do a group chat, they come together about maybe doing shows and promoting and stuff like that. I'm seeing more ladies doing stuff on social media. I see a video that's all posted by Anastasia and Elizabeth Molini. Melissa also is a sponsored athlete by Team 4 Pro. They call themselves the Iron Sisters. They come together, work out, and train. Shout out to both of those ladies. Also, people like Romani Scottson and her friend Sarah Parker. They're doing a lot of stuff, talking to ladies. They even did a thing with Claudio, them, and Anastasia. And the thing is, I think if you can be more active on social media, it can bring attention to it. Maybe, like I said, again, you're going to get the bad attention. You're going to get people talking shit because the fact is, that's what they do. But the thing is, be it negative or bad, you're paying attention to it. It gets your interest that you are helping the algorithms and get it more attention.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to disagree with the guy who made that comment because that isn't true. They don't care about the history. If they did, why did they get rid of the Miss Olympia in 2014? And then before that, the Miss International, the Arnold Classic, 35 years that was there. Second most prestigious title, gone. Hasn't been back in 13 years. Then when they got rid of the Olympia in 2014, and then also, they don't have to keep this going. If they're not keeping it alive because of its historical. If it was, why is the Miss International gone? Not just for women's bodybuilding, but also for women's physique and also for figure as well. That's the whole reason why they had to come up with the Triple O Dynasty in the first place, was to be able to give those women a place to compete during that time. So sorry, I don't agree with the guy. It's like, no, what matters is it bringing in money? Because they've already demonstrated they can get rid of it once, they can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, the other problem is I've been keeping track. I've been doing my own little project on what's been going on with NPC USA and shows. And it's like I keep hearing, and it's like I'm not saying that what's happened with Anastasia and Kelly Larkins are bad. It's good that it's happening, but you got to look at what's happening also in the amateur level. Here, now, everything I'm about to tell you is just with NPC USA, and I know we're at the very beginning of the season, and we've got a long way to go. However, I decided to do a little experiment and double check this sort of thing. Now, as of last week, I haven't taken into consideration this week, we have had 48 shows in NPC USA on the amateur level. Total number of those shows that are women's bodybuilding, 6 out of 48. So we don't have hardly any shows with women's bodybuilding. And even more disturbing, 21 of those 48 shows have removed women's physique from their competitive lineups. as of this year. So, I mean, if I think it's good that people are doing this on the pro level, but we got to see it on the amateur level too, because that's where the growth happens. Without an amateur level, you flat out don't have a pro division.
Yeah,
And if
because
it's dying on the local level, which it is, what's going to happen to the pro? What's going to happen to the pro division in the future? Because you've got people who are getting older and they're going to retire.
Yeah, because I'm talking with a couple ladies that this might be their last year, especially competing, especially ladies who are 50 plus. You can't keep doing this forever. And then you have young competitors who come in here and they are looking to be the next big thing. But then because of whatever reason, they get frustrated how they get placed and they want to jump out. And I think for the young competitors, take that time off. Like someone like Paula, who's not even 30 yet. She has a big physique, but you don't want to burn yourself out by before you hit 30. Take that time off. Use that time to grow. There was a couple of shows where there were pro qualifiers overseas, and there wasn't enough ladies for women's physique to get their pro card. I saw one lady, she got hers. She competed for nearly 30 years and finally got her pro card. She was so excited about it because, I forget what country she's from, but, she had a great physique, and she looked really good. Remember, I did an interview with Lisa Smith where she did a show that was the Remaining Muscle Fest, and it was only 2 or 3 women competing in women's bodybuilding, 2 or 3 women competing in women's physique, and she got her pro card because Lena Popa advocated for her. She had to put in her papers in and see if they were make her a pro. The judges gonna look at it and say boom boom, and it was for Lena saying, hey, she has a great physique, we like her, so let's get a pro card. And the thing is, I think one thing is if there's more support in the bottom rung, maybe it'll get better. But the problem is it's not promoted or offered the opportunity. Even NPC don't really care about it as much. We here, the fans, we care about it, like my man C. I know you care about it, but the thing is, like my man Keith says, if it doesn't make dollars, it don't make sense. Here goes again, shout out to my man C. He says, Paul Rand is someone these ladies need to be worried about. She's going to be a problem for the lineup in WPD, possibly. Also, he says this, he says, Susan Madison, I want to win in the New York Pro show, but Paula is issue cause she certainly could take it. Here's the thing is, when Paula competed at Tampa back in 2025, she was, I think, 4th, and I think Susan was probably 5th. So, and the thing is, who won that? Who was the top 2 of that show? Zama Benta and Megan, Santa Barbara. And those are big women. I met the woman. She's like 5'8". And you see Megan lately now. She had to put on a lot of size. Zama is just crazy. Just her shoulders, her back, her traps, just crazy. I think Paula's still young and her body's still developing. She has potential, I would say, but still, it's going to be the right show. I don't know. She could come in here, but then again, I feel like the big threat is going to be Susan and Julia Gusteva, and also that Julia chick from Germany. If you follow her, she's just mad. She competed the show back in 2024, and I think she took a couple of years off that was her pro debut. She turned pro that same few months, a month before, and made her pro debut in New York in 2024. And I think she has that potential. Yeah. But back to women's bodybuilding, as you know, we as I said earlier, we have some ladies not competing that show, Angela Yo, and also Ashley Jones. I don't want to get Jeremy's thought of, especially, I think Angela, as you know, she was a champion in 2024 at the Rising Phoenix, but they changed the format of it. You no longer being the champion gets that qualification like they did the last 2 years. You think we're gonna see Angela do a show next year, this year, or she's just gonna sit out the season?
I'm not sure. I mean, this is an invitational. Do we know that she actually submitted an invite letter?
I think she probably did.
For this show. So
she probably didn't.
I mean, it's one thing, because then it's like, since it's an invitational, it doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't try It just may, maybe for whatever reason, I don't know what the criteria they use to invite. But also bear in mind now, they've also changed this so the top 3 go to the Olympia. So the winner of this show, as well as second and third, they all qualify. So that's one of the other big things that they've changed. So top 3 at this show will go on to the Olympia. So yeah, that's one thing to consider. But also bear in mind, this is the invite list. Just because you're invited doesn't mean you're actually going to show up. So see, yeah, it's a big invite list, but it's just a big question of who actually is, or how many are actually going to show up for the show, and who is it going to be? Because just because you're invited doesn't mean you're actually going to come. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if it does, but I honestly don't see how it's going to do that, because one of the biggest draws for the Rising Phoenix was the prize money. Was you first got a $50,000 car or a $50,000 truck plus 50 grand cash. So, I mean, when you remove a financial incentive like that, when I realized they were going to get rid of the world champion aspect, but especially the prize money, I'm not surprised that only 5 people showed up. I'm really not. So I think in all honesty, one of the biggest draws is going to be the prize money. If you bring that back, you'll see a bigger field. So I think even by bringing back an invitational aspect, it may help, it may not. Because I think one of the real big draws for the show was the prize money. And now that that's gone, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one thing was there's also other incentives, like there were, you got award for best poser, most muscular. They used to do the thing with the little video where you talk about yourself, you got some money for that. And then also what I learned that they also paid for their trip to the show, paid for their other stuff. They got a per diem, meaning you got a little money on the side. But Jake, as you know, when he did this back in 2024, when we cut out the car part, 2023, when they started doing the was the year they brought back the Masters Olympia. So they needed to take the money and put it somewhere. So the car was cut out, and other things were cut out bit by bit. That was incentive, because you got to think about it. Just had the just about a couple months ago, had the Arnold Classics, the 2 back to back, the main one and the UK show. Andrew Jack walks away with $1 million from both shows, $750,000 from one show, and another $250,000 from another, and that's the incentive. And then you go to Olympia, and you're doing either women's bodybuilding or women's physique, you're going to get $40,000 or $50,000 in first place.
Right.
It's not much compared to, a guy like Derek Lumford, who might get, $600,000. The thing is, these ladies, as you mentioned earlier, they're just mostly, trying to scrape up enough money to compete for these shows. You got people like Nadia Capasotto, who lives in Italy. She has come on my own way. You have Virginia Sanchez, who's from Spain. A couple of ladies who live out of the country. That it's going to be expensive for them to come here, especially as I saw earlier, Spirit Airlines shut down because of the cost of fuel. Plane tickets going to go skyrocket, and then also issues of getting to the country. Immigration is also going to be a mess because of. But again, we may not have as many bodies as you think at. And then, if you got to think about it, if you invite some of these ladies and they already got their Olympia qualification, what's the point of top 3? Because Andrea's going to win the show. Whoever comes second and third probably already got their spot, because you don't have Angela there anymore. You don't have Ashley, who were in the top 5 the last Olympia. One person out at the Olympia who's out doing a show who was invited before is Alcione Barrios. She's not doing the show either, because I think she usually does multiple shows, but situation happened with her, and then my guess she's going to maybe do one show if she's smart, and just save her money if she gets Olympic qualification. Some of these ladies are lucky enough. I remember Sherry told me when she was competing, she was blessed enough that she had enough people to sponsor her, because she went to Portugal and she did that show, but didn't win. Then did Chicago, and I think Sherry might be either doing Atlanta or Tampa. She might do both. Yeah,
and just to give people, let's see, hold on a second. Am I on? Okay. But yeah, just to give people an idea as to just how much this actually costs, bear in mind what I'm about to read you the expenses in the NPC, not in the IFBB. This is what a coach recently posted. Said food, $250 plus a week. Coach, $250 to $500 a month. Posing, $500 to $100 per session. Supplements, $100 to $300 a month. Blood work, $100 to $400 per check. PEDs, $300 plus per month, can easily hit $1,000. NPC card, $150. Show fee, $125 to $400 per class, depending on level. And many of these women enter multiple divisions. Tan, $150 to $200. Suit, $50 to $100 for men, $700 to $1,000 for women. Hair and makeup, $200 to $400, and travel and hotel, hundreds, easily thousands. Taking it seriously will cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, and that's a pretty basic shakedown. And that's on the amateur level. I mean, imagine what it is on the pro level with the same thing. So they got to round up that money every single year in order to be able to do this, unless they have sponsorship. And even then, it may not pay for everything.
And then you might just do a regional show. Then you have to do nationals. And you might want to do another national show, get your pro card. You might be doing 3 shows as an NPC competitor in 1 year. At the most 2 maybe, but 3 sometimes most, because you may not say, you know what, I talked with a friend of mine. She was going to do a show here, but then she said it costs her too much to go to that place, so it's cheaper to go here, where it saves her like a few extra $100 to compete to get a pro card. It's the thing is, it goes back to, as I said earlier, it always going to shout to my man Big Keith. I was hoping him and Tina will make it on here, but I know they're busy. They got things going on. Shout to Kansas. He's really become a softball specialist. And you're paying Peter. You're stealing from Paul to pay Peter. Shout out to my man Seacross. He says, what is the prize money for the Rising Phoenix now? Well, last year it was $10,000. That's when Andrea won it. $10,000. You got to think about it. $10,000. That's right there. That's your prep right there. You just really Andrea, she's sponsored by Mutant Nation. So, she's pretty good. That $10,000 is just a little drop in the bucket for her. Don't know if it's going to be the same price this year. They might up a little bit because Jake wants maybe more prestige back to the Rising Phoenix. It's all up to him. Also, he says this, shout out to the man Seacross, says, I miss Sarah Piami. Good to see her come back. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see her come back. I just saw her. She was spending the weekend with her daughter. Her daughter's a nun, her youngest son. It was a lovely thing, and shout out to her daughter who's found her passion for God and Christ and doing what she's doing. There's, again, with this year, I mean, one thing would go back to the situation with what Onstage Rider did. And I would say this. If Tim Gardner is cutting out women's bodybuilding from his shows, if he's not going to have it in Chicago, if there's barely from the fight to get it to have it at Tampa, and you only had 2 competitors that compete at Puerto Rico for the Masters O, I would say let's move away from Tim Gardner and from Steve Weinberger. Let's reach out to other promoters who have shows. Let's promoters who have maybe 1 or 2 divisions in their shows. This show, I think it's in South Florida. There was an ad women's physique, but they dropped it. Talk to that promoter and see if he's interested, because to add women's bodybuilding to the show, maybe next year. With the GoFundMe can stay up as long as it can, as long as there's money in it. You can, either keep the GoFundMe up, don't shut it down, keep it up, maybe talk to other promoters. That thing is, you got to find people who want to give you an opportunity. And you keep going. I know it's like going to the same old. Sometimes it's about taking a risk. If you really want to see women have a fighting chance, well, talk to someone like Linda Murray. You remember, Linda at one point had 3 shows. She had Norfolk, she had Savannah, now she has Atlanta. Now all she got left is Atlanta. I would say if you can get some more people to maybe, because one thing I learned is you need to put like $10,000 to cover some of the costs, sanction fees and stuff like that, and prize money. And Linda is a name. She's a brand. She's 8-time Miss Olympia. She's in the game for quite some long time. I would say if you can approach her, say, let's see if we can revive Norfolk, or maybe do another show in another place, like most definitely Texas, because I know quite a few bodybuilders who live in Texas would love to do a show in Texas. As you know, I don't know if everybody saw this. Uh, was I think it was just about a couple weeks ago. I posted on my IG. You know, the former, uh, you know, um, Miss Olympia champ, Sarah Vilgas, as you know, she started to make a change, and that is, she helps promotes, and she also sponsors the women's physique division at the Texas Pro. And she has come out now that she's moving away. Not so much. She's still going to be involved with it, but her prestigious award is being taken out because that's the award she often gives to the winner of women's physique at the Texas Pro. And if you haven't heard of it, here's his announcement. And she said that we hear here, she says this. For 6 years, she's been doing this show. And wait a minute, sorry, I kicked the wrong one. See, kicked the wrong thing here. She's said that she is for says this says 6 years ago, I introduced women's physique distinction award to help fill a void. At the time, the division was losing stage presence and the recognition it deserved. Today, the void no longer exists. Major IB shows like the Texas Pro, New York Pro, and Pittsburgh Pro, along with more than 20 other pro shows around the world, have elevated women's physique and continue to carry it forward. I believe the award has served its purpose, and with that, I've decided to bring the Women's Physique Distinction Award to a close. However, my support continues. My commitment to the division remains unwavering, and I will continue sponsoring the prize money for women's physique at the Texas Pro, along with several other shows across the country, just as I always have. It's been an honor, and I am proud of how far the division has come. Lastly, I want to thank Sheila Brown and Freddie for the amazing 5 years. My support for the Texas Pro remains constant. So, as you know, she's no longer, her prestigious award is no longer part of the show anymore. Still putting up the $15,000 for WPD. As you know, right now, Sherry's been kind of been quiet lately. As you know, she's been talking about a lot of cold, a lot of cold cash shit, particularly towards Natalia Correjo. But now she is kind of backing away because I think she's no longer the champion, and she's focused on her business. This is her gym that she runs and she owns with her husband. And Sarah, not a big fan of hers, but I did respect what she was doing for the division. Fighting for it, putting up her money where her mouth is. I mean, actually, her husband's money where his mouth is. But what's her opportunity? Is she gonna, try to get her title back? I don't know. Crazy. Her physique has always been kind of just, when she beat Shanique Grant for the title back in 2020, she kind of reformatted the division because that was the looks everybody started chasing. Sarah's look, she's just crazy grainy from the back. Condition is wild, but she's been doing a lot of shit of lately. Here she is with Chris Camille, with some oil. And I've talked about before. And this is something that's been kind of hurting her. She hadn't too busy on social media lately, but maybe that's a smart thing. Take a step back and not be running your mouth. So, shout out to my man Jeremy. He says, "Got to head out. Great episode. Thank you, brother." So appreciate that for you coming through, Jeremy. He is really knowledgeable. You want to go check out his channel, The Art of Female Muscle. I mean, hoping we get to see him do some more content, especially on the subject. Here we got here from my man C Cross. He says, surprised not to see Angela Yo or Ashley Jones on the list of the Rising Phoenix. Well, they didn't put in the application. So you don't put in the application, you're not going to get invited. Also, shout out to the Secret Cross says a lot of potential great women bodybuilders are no longer there. Michaela Aycock, Christina Mendoza, Julia Wetzel, Margie Martin, Alicia Young, Eugenio King is crazy to me. Well, you got to think about it. Eugenio is like 60 years old. He's 60 now. And you can't keep doing this forever, brother. Alicia Young, I don't know with her. She's kind of backed away from the sport for a good bit. Could we see her coming back? I've seen some stuff on social media. As you know, Julia Wetzel and Christina Mendoza, they're now focusing on doing wellness. To me, Christina, I think she has those aesthetics, especially her legs and the quads. I think she can do well in wellness. But I don't think Julia should maybe go back to winning physique or maybe do figure. It's all dependent on her. And with some of the other ladies, Michaela, you know, she's going through some medical issues right now. Michaela's actually helping training Marilyn Yee. You know, I saw a video of her in Maryland. Now she's a coach and a trainer. So that's good for her. Maybe she never know. She might come back. This is one more from man C says, has Sarah Vilgas eaten the humble pie? Is she getting a dose of reality to not to be pain in the butt? That's why she's excluded the Achievement Distinction Award trophy. No, could be that. Or like I said again, yeah, she might want to take a step back and make the focus of the show not so much on her. We never know. So we're not going to spend too much long on this subject. As you know, I was hoping to have some ladies come here and give their thoughts on it. But I reach out to ladies. Hey, some ladies are busy, I understand. But also, some people don't feel comfortable to talk about this because, especially particularly this division, because they feel like they don't. What they say may not mean anything. You may not have a voice. But the thing is, this is your sport. This is your division. You should say something because you know what? What's the point of me saying anything? I'm not a competitor. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of women's bodybuilding. I'd like to see more opportunities, more shows for it. But again, if you're not willing to fight for it, what's the point of me fighting for you?
That's all I could say. I don't got much to say.
I know you don't got much to say. But my man's going to be going to the New York Pro. So I'm excited for you. I mean, you've been there a couple of times.
I mean, I've been there before. I've been there. Okay, all right.
Likes to run into David because he's gonna be there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see him. Oh, hello. Oh, it'd be cool to see him to talk a bit. Yeah, I mean, I ain't having no expectations. I get over there, man. Sometimes the things don't go in our way, so. If I see him, yeah, man, I wouldn't mind, chatting with him. Yeah, say what's up. That's all. Yeah, maybe other people too as well. So, It
was a great opportunity. When I went to Tampa and we got to hang out, he drove me around because, that's his stopping ground, Tampa, and we hanged out. He even took me to my train ride,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, It's great to see someone who has the same passion for his sport like I do, who is a fan of the ladies. And he's particularly a fan of a certain lady, as I said again, and I hope she does well. It's all depending.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It ain't. Now, go ahead, read the comment.
All right, so it says, yeah, you're right, George. Jenny is old. She cannot do it anymore. So again, I won't say she's old. She's 60, but if you see some pictures of Eugenio King, you wouldn't think she's 60. I mean, you take care of yourself real well. But what are you about to say?
I forgot something. It just slipped out of my mind. It just ain't coming to me right now. It ain't coming to me right now.
That's all right. Shout out to man C. He says, I know David is getting to be a tongue-tied and spitting again seeing Susan Matheson. Yeah, he had to hang out with Susan. I mean, we did a couple interviews, drove around a little bit. He's a fan. And the thing is, a lot of us who come here to talk about this are fan of the sport or a fan of Women of Muscle.
I knew what I was about to say. It was relating to when you said Dave and you guys got the same interests. Yeah, it's not that many people around you that have that same interest of muscular women or female bodybuilders. Majority of the times, then they're not like the atmosphere is not there. So when you and Dave kind of collaborate, you guys are like brothers. So yeah. I mean, like the only time I've met somebody in person around me was this guy I met at the library. But that's all I had to say. I mean, it's not that many people that you have the same interests with when it comes to this. So
yeah, that's the thing is it's like earlier said, by Jeremy and also by C. It's a niche. It's a sport that's not as well known. Like a lot of people follow like this. LeBron James basically quote like this: "You have to go 100 million miles out of nowhere not to know who he is." Because yeah. But someone like Andrea Shaw, I know her because I'm a fan. And she's my girlfriend. I know of her, and somebody else may not know of her. But it's great when I meet someone like maybe you or David, or even I can meet Jeremy, and we can talk about that because you know what? It feels like kindred spirits come together when you get to sit and talk with somebody and share your passion about this sport, and how much you enjoy, talking about it. Joy, we get the chance to meet some of the ladies too. And sometimes I have ladies who tell me when I went to Tampa, I said, George, I appreciate what you're doing because you know what? I watch your stuff. I watch you. That's how somebody get my interviews because some ladies see my interviews and say, hey, I like your interviews because they're very entertaining, very informative. And, I appreciate you giving us a voice where if you look at it, there's only a handful of us actually who do interviews and we charge these ladies like yourself, David, Jeremy a few times.
To cut you off, I mean, it pertains to the women too because if they're not open to it, I might not be some people's cup of tea, like you be saying. Some people may not be your cup of tea. It's also how they react to it because a lot of them, even with the natural bodybuilding, they'll look at my link and stuff like, hi, I'm such and such. I'm interested in interviewing you. And this a lot of them don't say nothing and they don't respond. Some of them do, and I just respond to the ones that respond to me, and that's where we get on. So
well, I'm like this. I would like people who are willing and wanting to do interviews with me. And if you're willing and wanting, I appreciate that. I appreciate when I reach out and make a request, say I want to do an interview with you. I got an interview with a lady coming up on Wednesday. She's a figure competitor. She's from Japan. She has she just got her Master's O qualification at not Puerto Rico, at the Triton City, just about almost a month ago. I talked a couple of these right now. I'm just trying to hammer out, the time and date that works best with their schedule. Because I don't got a job, I other than maybe going to the laundromat and grocery shopping every now and then, and like that. Most of the time I'm home. Today I had to do some recertification for where I stay at, and you just do it at the office up there here where I stay at. So just try some paperwork. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just gonna go up in a couple of months, and that's it. I'm here. So if you are willing and wanting to talk to me and share your stories, I'm open to it.
Even like I was trying to reach out to the bodybuilder that competed in the Olympia in '88, and she told me that she wasn't really interested because she valued her privacy and stuff. So and I mean, I'm not gonna go deep into your life like that. It's just I don't know, like, what are you doing now, and what was it like competing back then, and how do you see bodybuilding now? It's mostly the basic question, but but I gotta respect her wishes too. She's not interested. She's not interested. But but then I'm like thinking like, how how this can be a sport too, because because a lot of them, when they leave, it's that's it. They not, they doing their own life, and then you try to reach out to them, they're not so enthused about wanting to talk to anybody that's interested in talking to them. It probably be like a chosen few. They pick and choose who they want to do, so who they want to talk to. So I mean, unless if you like some big time, like unless if if you have like a big platform, maybe. But that, I think that's why that could be some of the reasons why it's the way how it is. It's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just.
Well, you explained the best you could with the information you got, and I tell you, if I've reached other ladies and they say, "Nah, they don't want to do it," and that's good. I move on, and I've reached other ladies and say, "Hey, they may be interested, but then hey, if you'll get back to me, I'm not wasting my time with you. I'm going to move on."
Right.
But it was for me when I started doing this, it was a great opportunity to have people like Nancy Lewis as a guest, Sue Price, my dear friend, the late Ronnie Charisma, and a couple of ladies who competed back in the day. It was a highlight for me. And then last month, I got to talk to Irene and Hella. I've had Gina quite a few times, but Irene and Hella, for me, that was a highlight of my day. Then a little bit after that, get to be Lisa on and talk to her. I mean, guys, y'all really like Lisa. I mean, and I enjoy when I get the opportunity to hear your stories and talk about themselves, and also give the perspective of what they think of what bodybuilding has changed over years, or for those who are just brand new to the sport and really what inspires them. Again, this is why I say, I want you to be willing and wanting. If I ask you a few times, you say no, cool, okay. But, if you turn around and say, hey, you know what? You change your mind and say, you know what? I want to talk about myself. Because you know what? It's good to, it's good to put that stuff out there, to have a historical record of who you are, what you did, and let people know, because that thing is, it's not just being informed, but also educational, because you never know, you might inspire somebody who's maybe at that point where they are even curious about bodybuilding. They'll understand, what it takes, the everything involved with it, from dieting to training, consistency, discipline. I saw a video that she posted. It's Anastasia, Natalia Kovaleva, Anastasia Kovaleva. She's probably one of the biggest women in the sport right now, physically big. I mean, she's not that big in height. I think she's like 5'4", 5'5", and she talks about how people talk about she's on steroids. But the thing is, she's still competing. She's still dedicated. She could have just said, you know what, let me move on. Let me do something else. But she still likes to compete and train. And she's already qualified for this year's Olympia. The big question, I hope she can make the Olympia, because she does have issues when it comes to the visa issues. So I saw this from her. She posted it. I'm a fan of hers, and I'm going to share this. It's funny, and and this is one thing is, I think one thing ladies should do, be more entertaining, put yourself out there. So here we go with Anastasia Kovaleva and her little rant out there to you. That's not it. It's not it. It's this one here. I think. Which one is it? Just saw it. Oh, here it is. I think this is it right here.
Bulking on a small calorie surplus doesn't always work. My first bulk, my body said, fuck you. I had to drop from 5 workouts to 4. Cut cardio completely, because my weight wasn't just staying, it was dropping. Only when I stopped chasing plus 200 and start eating until my buttons pop, the scale finally moved. Then I adjust food down and add cardio back. Same with my hard gainer clients. Low appetite, metabolism like a furnace. If they listen to experts preaching plus 200 calories, they gain nothing. Here's what I'm saying. People are different, completely different. When someone tells you something works for everyone, that's bullshit. Nothing works for everyone. Not one diet, not one surplus, not one program. Theory crashes into reality every single day in my life and my coaching. There is no magic number. There is you your body, and a lot of advice that will bury your progress if you don't think for yourself. You're not gonna like.
Yeah, she's like I said, she's come a long way. Her English has gotten a lot better over the time. I mean, she's evolved as a competitor, as a bodybuilder. Here she is.
Because you use roids. Yeah, okay, I look like a man. Yeah, I use roids. Now here's the questions for you, expert. If roids work like that, why do you juicing for years still don't look like a man? No, like a gym hobo who's never seen proper training, food, or sleep. Yes, you all think steroids are magic. Pin once, turn into the beast. No, pin once, you turn into pinning version of yourself. If you were a piece of shit before cycle, you still be a piece of shit on cycle. Just with a higher chance of dropping dead from heart attack at 40. I look like this because I didn't fuck around with my training for 10 years, didn't eat trash, didn't sleep 3 hours at night, didn't skip meals. Roy just speed up what was already working. If your foundation is garbage, steroids will just make you faster garbage. So next time you say, oh, it's all right, take a look at yourself first and ask, why aren't they working on you?
She makes a good point. And and I've quite a few ladies tell me that, if you don't follow the plan, if you're not consistent, if you're not disciplined, you're not going to come out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Dorian Yates or Big Romney, because those guys took years of training and dieting and discipline to get that. And these women, they took years. Andrea, when she started out, she actually was doing figure. And then she took some time off, came back, did physique, and then when she made her debut, I beat she was doing physique, but then she moved up to women's bodybuilding. Look at it now; she's going to be possibly 7-time champion, and coming here in the Rise of Phoenix, probably dominate again. But folks, not too long. My man just says he just had to drop out, so I appreciate my man KL the Wanderer. Thank you for coming through, brother. I think my guest is also here, my man Nados, and also C Cross. Again, folks, the list for the New York Pro is out. We have at least about 10 women more in women's physique. This show, no Natalia Cuejo. So that means this is an open opportunity to get Olympia qualification for WBD at the New York Pro. So, maybe she more about it, but I think the thing was the fear of possibly Natalia doing this show might have scared some women away. And then the cost, go back to my man Jeremy, the cost of traveling from another country, another part of the world, even just traveling across the United States is expensive. As you know, I'm planning on a trip, and I live on a little means. I mean, I get a little check once a month, and I try to pull a little money from it towards saving for a trip. I got a good chunk of change right now, but still the cost of not just for me. I'm not a bodybuilder, but cost for me traveling is buying. Like I said, again, I'm not going on a plane because it costs too much to go on a plane. It's too expensive for me, especially I'm a big dude. Train is cheaper, and if I try to find a deal, then find a motel that's reasonable and that's close to the venue where I don't have to, doesn't cost too much. I don't have to break the bank. Then again, I'm going to a new place. I'm not driving myself, so I have to catch an Uber or some Lyfts. So I got to pay those people too. And then, I know I got to eat. So, and I don't know if the place is going to, if I buy food and cook in the kitchen, that's expense. I probably have to eat out a good bit. I won't eat too much out because, you can, I'm trying to eat a little smarter now, but, you got to be smart. But again, if you're interested in helping me out, my PayPal, I need to delete that old GoFundMe. It doesn't work anymore. So I might need to delete that one of these days. My PayPal, also my Cash App, and also my other Venmo are in the description of this. You see right now PayPal come across. Then you see my Cash App right there, and then you see my Venmo. My GoFundMe I have to delete because that GoFundMe is long dead. I was doing that for a show last year, and none of that people were donating to it. So they go, if you don't put no money to GoFundMe, they're gonna delete it. They deleted that GoFundMe. So if you're interested, maybe send me a few bucks. I'm not asking a lot. Maybe $10 or $20. That $10 to $20 can go to maybe bring a nice little meal for me, or maybe I got to pay for my tickets to get to the show because this show is going to be, a big show. So I want to catch one half of it and the other half of it because they're going to do both. I want to maybe catch the prejudging and the finals. I might have to pick one or the other. Prejudging, I want to see all from the beginning, and finals, we want to see who wins. So, I can appreciate that support. If you want to donate to me, I mean, hey, it doesn't help. But again, for this year, we're going to have a dry spell. No big shows coming up for women's bodybuilding. New York's not going to have it. Neither is, Chicago's not going to have it when it comes around. And I think around about the 1st of mid-June. And also there's some shows overseas. I'd like to appreciate shout out to the promoter of the Imperial. Shout out to the promoter of the Portugal. Also shout out to Lena Popa and her show. Both her shows, the Remaining Muscle Fest and the Lena Popa Classic, which still giving women's bodybuilding a platform. And also shout out to Dennis James, who runs the Europa Championships now in Germany. So, thanks to those promoters who still giving women's bodybuilding a fighting chance. People like, Steve Weinberger and Tim Gardner, we need to move away from them. If they are not going to, and again, I'm not saying I understand. I get why they do it because of the circumstances that would come to it, the money and the sponsorship and all that, and promotion, all that. But again, I feel like, you did so much all this time, and now why you want to change midway through. So, but again, I'm just talking for me as a fan, not as, as a bodybuilder or a promoter. I'm a fan. And I like to see my division, which is women's bodybuilding, still have a fighting chance in the IFB, in the EPC. So we just need more promoters to step up, to go off the opportunity. And to Anastasia, thank you again for the GoFundMe. If you can, keep the GoFundMe up for next year and talk to another promoter. There's other promoters out there besides Tim Gardner or Steve Weinberger. Reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in maybe having women's bodybuilding at their show, especially in Florida. Might get more people to come to shows. Some people say like this. I saw an interview with Frank Sippi and Linda Murray, how people are big fans of women's bodybuilding. They love the big muscular women. I have one lady say they want. I'm not talking about you have to be big and jacked, but we want to see you come in your best shape and your best condition. But anyway, folks, shout out to my man Jeremy for coming through. Shout out to my man KL Warner coming through. Appreciate my man Sid Cross for coming through. Nados for coming through. I got to do some stuff later on today because with the list is already out, so I have to set up some stuff on my social media for this upcoming show, New York Pro. We do have Pittsburgh next weekend. So then in New York Pro, this is the first official Olympic qualification for women's physique. We did have the couple of shows, but there were Masters qualification. That was the Emerald Cup and the Puerto Rico Pro. But now this is the official start for women's physique for Olympic qualification for 2026. So shout out to competitors. Best luck to y'all, and can't wait to see what you're going to bring. Anyway, folks, against my guests, and I appreciate your time. You should be out on my George page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I'm out. Good night, good luck, and God bless.